Hi everybody. Okay, so I'm back with another K-drama to see have you already seen it, and if not, is this something that you would check out? So before we get into this video, you already know the drill. Like this video, follow me for more, and share this with someone you know that would be into K-dramas and would potentially check it out. Okay, so let's get into it. The name of today's K-drama is called Because This Is My First Life. Now this K-drama is actually based off of a Japanese drama. I personally haven't checked it out. So if you have, definitely let me know how you felt about that, and I might add that on my list. I'm really not too big a fan of J-dramas. That's just not my what I go for. Anyway, so getting into the story. This is about our main female lead, and she's approximately 30 years old, and it's always been her dream to be a writer. Unfortunately for her, she's kind of been in a stagnant position at her job where she's been assisting with dramas for 5 years. So she's been an assistant writer for about 5 years. Now, because she's been an assistant writer and she hasn't been really able to achieve any of her goals, and she's 30, she kind of can't really take pride in a lot of her work. And on top of that, she seems to have found herself being kicked out of her parents' home. Now, the reason for why she gets kicked out of her parents' home is because her younger brother actually, gets a girl pregnant. And in order to make room for that girl, the brother, and the new baby coming, it's only logical that the one with a job would have to leave the nest. On the other hand, for our male protagonist, his name is Namsehi. He's actually an application designer, and it looks like he's currently made or helped out with a dating app. Namsehi, as far as like personality, he really comes off as an extremely stoic person, very straightforward, and he kind of only is able to solve things in the sense of formulas. Now, Namsehi also kind of comes off as an extremely robotic person, and it seems that he doesn't really care much about anything except for his house and his cat, and his I guess rent is going up at an alarming rate, and it seems to be something that he's not able to, keep all by himself. So he's constantly looking for roommates that he's compatible with. Now the issue with that is he's always kicking these roommates out. Yoon Jiho one day she's kind of talking to like one of her former high school classmates, and they kind of let it be known that they know someone who is currently looking for a roommate, and the person's name is Sehi. Now Jiho, upon hearing this name, kind of just misunderstands and thinks that this is a girl, so she responds saying that hey, like I'm interested. And now Namsehi, on the other hand, he sees the response from someone named Jiho, which he believes to be a boy's name, and so he ultimately agrees to letting her live there, even though he's not aware that she's a woman. The two of them living under the same roof, it seems to go on for quite some time, and they still are not aware that the other person is of the opposite gender, because what happens is one person gets up extremely early to leave for work, and she comes back extremely late after working all day, and the other person leaves in the middle of the day, and kind of like pops back in randomly. Now, they are not really crossing paths, and neither of them have that closeness where they'll knock on the other's door to say, hey, like I left you some food or anything of that sense. So our main female lead and our main male lead one day, they're out at a company dinner for their respective companies. And Gio ultimately finds out that the guy that she's had a crush on at her job is interested in someone else. And she briefly runs into Namsehi, unaware that that is her roommate. Now, the two of them are waiting at the bus stop, getting ready to go home for the evening. And they end up sitting next to each other, and they're extremely polite because, once again, they're unaware that they live with each other. So now, while they're sitting down, I guess they're essentially bonding over the fact of a cat. And Gio, feeling crushed at the fact that her crush is interested in someone else, she thinks to herself, like, what's so wrong with randomly kissing someone, especially someone that I'll never see again? Realistically, I'm not really sure how that would ever come across anybody's mind to do that, but hey, this is a K drama. Anything is game. And so she kisses him, believing that they'll never see each other again. They're two random strangers. The next day, they see each other in the elevator, and of course, our main female lead feels embarrassed. Evidently, they do end up finding out that the other person is of the opposite gender, but they find that the two of them and their lifestyle works really well for each other, and so they don't really make it a big deal. So one day, something nasty ends up happening at work, and Gio finds that her ex-crush slash her director almost sexually assaults her and then refuses to take responsibility. Now, one of her female bosses is essentially trying to smooth it over by, taking her out to dinner, but Gio feels ultimately wronged. Now, another one of her female coworkers is kind of downplaying it and making it seem like it's not really a big deal. Now, extremely upset and rightfully so about the situation, Gio ultimately quits. Now, granted that her living circumstances revolves around her having to pay rent and having a roommate, she confides in her roommate and pretty much lets him know that, she doesn't have a job, and the two of them ultimately settle on getting married because the two of them living together is beneficial to both of them. Gio needs a house, and Say ultimately needs someone that is compatible with his home, cleans his home, takes care of his home. And so for them, this seems like the perfect combination. So you really ultimately have to watch this K-drama and kind of find out, does Say ultimately warm up and stop being robotic? Does he end up, showing her like a different side of him? Does Gio get to accomplish her dreams of becoming a writer, not just an assistant writer? What ends up happening with the family? Are the family ever going to hold her younger brother, accountable for the fact that he got a person pregnant knowing that he had no income nor a roof over his head? So definitely let me know in the comments if this is a K-drama that you've already seen before. And if you haven't seen it, definitely let me know if this is something that you would check out. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Okay, thanks. Bye.